Assalamu alaikum. You're watching Views and News, and I'm Faisal Rehman from our Islamabad studio. Today we'll be talking about the very important issue that is regarding India. Minorities under extreme assault in the Indian states. Now, whether you talk about those particular states where the actual Hindutva concept is being implemented, whether you talk about Uttar Pradesh, that has more population than Pakistan, mind you. Just imagine the size of that particular state of India. You talk about Karnataka, you talk about extreme eastern states of India, whether it's Assam or Manipur or otherwise. You go deep in the south, that region which we all considered was very democratic and perhaps people are very well educated, but no sir, things have become a problem. You talk about Gujarat for that matter. Let's come a little north and on the extreme western side, bordering Pakistan. Rajasthan again has a lot of problem. Gujarat has a lot of problem, and interestingly, in the particular village in that area where curfew was imposed was the area of none other than the Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi. Now he has got his own group of few people, whether it's Amit Shah or it's the Chief Minister of UP, or perhaps you talk about Ajit Doval. They have an agenda and they are working on that. And that is basically, I would say, is ethnic cleansing in India. Hindu majority that is supposed to be dominating the rest. And you're not talking about a small minority out there. You're talking about around 20-22 crore Muslims, a good number of Sikhs, Jains, Christians, and on top, when you talk about the particular population of Muslims that is not accepted by India, neither they're accepted by the state of Bangladesh, but interestingly these people have no future and strict laws have been imposed against them. You talk about Jammu and Kashmir. We obviously know that there is a lot of problem out there. Look at the way people boycotted the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, when a few days ago he was there, was marked as a black day. So this is the kind of perception Narendra Modi is having in those states which are Muslim majority. But obviously, the state terrorism of India continues inside India, so-called the largest democracy in the world. We'll be talking about that, but before that, our production team has prepared a report. Let's watch that.
Atrocities and injustices of fascist Modi regime against their own minorities has buried the claims of India regarding being the largest secularistic democracy of the world. The suppression of minorities, particularly Muslims in India, recently has been noted by US Commission on International Religious Freedom, which has said that religious freedom has deteriorated significantly in India under the Hindu nationalist government. This commission has also recommended that India must be placed on a list of countries of particular concern, while noting the numerous attacks on religious minorities, particularly Muslims and Christians, in 2021, as Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government promoted its ideological vision of a Hindu state. The recent proof of intolerance towards Muslims were seen when two girls from Karnataka, who had submitted a court petition seeking permission to wear hijab inside classrooms, were refused to take their board examinations after they requested to take the exam while wearing burqas. Earlier, the United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken also hinted regarding monitoring the rise in human rights abuses in India. The Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, the largest question mark on the credibility of India's democracy, was recently visited by Narendra Modi. It was his first visit to disputed territory since New Delhi has revoked the special status of Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir nearly 3 years ago. His visit was protested and rejected by all parties Hurriyat Conference as they called for the strike and observed the Black Day. This visit was also criticized by Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif. In a tweet, he said that Indian Prime Minister's staged visit to Indian illegal occupied Jammu and Kashmir and laying foundation stones of hydroelectric projects in contravention of Sindhu's water territory is another desperate attempt to project false normalcy in occupied territory.
Well, we have with us in our studio, on my right is Dr. Waleed Rasool Sahab, Kashmiri leader. Sir, thank you so much for your time in our program. And we have with us on Skype, Abid Latif Sindhu Sahab, senior analyst. Thank you very much, Sindhu Saab, for your presence in our show, sir. Pleasure to have you. And we also have with us Dr. Asma Shakir Khawaja Saiba. She is the Executive Director of CISS and an international affairs expert. Thank you very much, ma'am, for your time as well. Now, sir, talking about the minorities under assault in India. Not only Muslims now, you talk about Christians, Jains, Sikhs, people from other religions for that matter. What exactly are they up to?
Actually, it is a strategic initiative by Modi, and now that is being practiced on the tactical level. And it has some religious lineage, since you know that Modi government capitalized the religion and the majoritarianism in the elections also. Now it is on the tactical level what they are doing. But actually you have to see that the Indian, the present rightist and extremist Modi, what he is practicing, that they say that the 4 other castes are from the legs, abdomen and the shoulders of the Brahma. It is their Hindu mythology concept, and only the Brahmanas are from the head. And since the Brahmanas are ruling the Hindu majority in state, and they are following the same religious path, and which they have banked
Modi
twice.
from a lower caste, isn't he?
No, Modi is a Brahman, Maratha Brahman.
But
from,
Brahman, I mean,
from
what
Gujarat.
we have learned, that Brahmins are people who basically are the rulers, are from the top elite class. Is that correct?
Exactly.
So how come this man was selling tea and was a chota as such?
Oh, it is the unfortunate that what ex-Prime Minister also said, when small people are at the helm of affairs, then it is not unfortunate only for the nation, but for also for the entire region. That
Correct.
when you are at the helm of affairs, you have overwhelming overwhelming powers. Whatsoever you want to execute is at your foot. It is at your fingerprints.
But Akshay,
so it is why that
whatever this ideology is, good, bad or ugly, that's how we look at it. But he is gaining strength in a certain community. So look at the way, I mean, let's talk about the elections which were recently had. Other than Punjab, he had shown unbelievable support, I mean, for his party.
Actually, in media setting theory,
UP, Goa, Uttarakhand.
we say that we are focusing a particular group and we are making an agenda on the particular focus group. So the Modi focused the Hindu majority, because the Hindu majority have the major vote bank in the India, and they ignored the minority. But overall, when you see that the internal defense system has been shaken in India, it had created ripples in the Indian society, and it cannot run up to the wrong, despite it was the systematic, linear. You started it from the Bombay, then carry out same on in the Gujarat, and then other parts of the India. But still there are
like cancer.
Yeah, cancer. So there are some sand vices. For example, so many times the ex-foreign minister of the India spoke about that where we are going from now. Can the Modi era and after India can we recover it now from the havoc created by Modi during his regime?
So post-Modi era means that this man seems to be winning your next elections as well in India. And if that is the case, because he is gaining momentum for wrong reasons, that means that in fact that cancer has been spread all over now. Yeah. But sir, let me also engage our other guests. Let me start off from Abid, Latif, Sindhu Saab. Sindhu Saab, now when we talk about India, obviously religious freedom has become a problem. It has really worsened significantly over the last, I would say, 7-8 years, ever since Modi took charge, let me put it this way. And now this particular issue has also been recognized by the US Commission. Now, is it just mere for the purpose of filling out a form and just keeping it in the file? Or perhaps you think that this is a serious concern, because this is the absolute violence of human rights that is taking place in India. Your take, Colonel Saab.
Yeah. No, I don't think so that this time it is just run of the mill by the different segments of the US society. We have already seen the Indian American Muslim Council has, recorded its concern about the growing persecutions of Muslims in India, and as well as the Hindu for Hindus rights. There is a body in USA which is also, recorded its agitation and its concern about the persecutions of Muslims and the other minorities in India, and as well as few U.S. senators like Bernie Sanders and Bob Menendez has also appealed Mr. Biden that he should take the cognizance of the situation and try to put USA under the country for particular concern for the misdoings and for the aggression or for the excesses which the Modi government is particularly perpetrating against the minorities and particularly the Muslims and the Dalits. As far as the demography of India is concerned, you know better than me that there are 40% Hindus, there are about 30% Muslims, and the rest 40%, 30% Muslims and Sikhs altogether, and there are about 40% Dalits. So those Dalits, they are already at the edge or already at the uh, demographic periphery. So it means that about 35% population of India has actually is victimizing the rest of the India. So the policies, the right-wing policies of the BJP, along with the RSS and Vishnu Hindu Prashad and Bajrang Dal, it has actually converted India into a religio-fascist state. And if this continues, then it is going to be very difficult for India, for the Indian government, for the Indian diplomacy or the Indian South Hall or South, the Foreign Office to defend this type of aggressions and this type of policies in the international committee. And I think this time, as recently a senator also came to Pakistan, Ilhan Umar, which is from Missouri, and she's also herself a Muslim, and she actually depicts and presents the sentiments of a general Muslim population of USA. And again, these sentiments, these feelings, and this development, even in United Nations, the question has been raised just about 2 months back. India is also already a signatory of Human Rights Commission. So these violations, I think this will come to fore, and the world will take due cognizance of this.
I hope and I pray that this happens. But interestingly, the Americans also said that this particular visit was in her personal capacity. It has got nothing to do with the state policy of United States of America. So their stance is very clear. They believe that the issue of Kashmir is a bilateral issue and it should be sorted out bilaterally, where we think that since it is in the United Nations, so many resolutions have been passed, so it should be handled through the UN. But sir, the recent role of UN, we have all witnessed, it's so much under the influence of United States of America. Whether you talk about the Ukraine crisis, look at the negative role of media, totally anti-Russia, fake stories, and on top of that, these fake news. I mean, these are the new concepts that we are learning. But coming to you, Dr. Saiba, now since you have written a book, you have authored so many articles. Interestingly, now we would like to know that yes, we have talked about the demographic changes in India. We have talked about so many other problems, so many other issues, the revoking of that article and then snatching away the special status and so much more. Now, I may look deep down into the psychology of the people who are supporters of BJP, in particular RSS ideology. You will notice that the number is increasing and there is a big chunk of people who are actually supporting the wrong cause. But Narendra Modi at the end of the day is gaining strength. The way the Congress almost got eliminated, to be very honest, that means that, yes, things are very different now. What is that supposed to mean for Pakistan in particular and for the region in general?
Yes, thank you so much for asking such a pertinent question. But before answering the question, I would like to clarify one thing
Yes,
that
ma'am.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he doesn't belong to a Brahman caste. He's from the other backward castes, and his caste is Ganj, which is traditionally the caste of oil pressers. And in one of his statements, Modi stated that is it a crime to belong to a lower caste? So Modi doesn't belong to the privileged
That's
class.
exactly what I
But
was
here
thinking since, yeah,
yeah. So we need to understand that Modi is only the face. So the radical Hindus,
it's
they
just
had this
like
little
Hitler.
face.
Hitler was not a German, he was an Austrian, born in
Austrian, right?
Austria, but was, for some reason, leading the German
Yeah.
cause. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. You pointed out very correctly the identity of Hitler as well. So, coming back to your question, yes, whole politics of BJP revolves around Islamophobia, and it is about triggering the sentiments of common Hindu against to create Islam or and Muslims as a threat to them. So definitely the problem is, as you said, the number of people associated with RSS and BJP is increasing every day because Islamophobia is a political dividend in India. Modi and BJP, through their politics of hatred and insecurity and inferiority, have created this anti-Muslim or anti-minorities sentiments as a political dividend, and Hindus vote for this. And I'm using the term Hindu because BJP is securing the largest number of votes of one particular religious groups, and even they don't give if you see the representation of Muslims or other minorities like Christians in BJP, that is negligible. So that is why definitely their whole politics is based on this phenomena. So that is why things are changing, or things have changed, I would say, under the Modi regime.
All right. Now, a couple of more important areas I think we should also throw light on. Uh, when you talk about peace in India, obviously that's exactly what everybody or every country would like to have. But the recent wave that we have witnessed since there has been a certain discourse that was implemented, and that was to go after the non-Hindus and the extreme non-Hindus. So the shops were burned, their businesses were burned, and it was very obvious that the violators of law or these miscreants basically knew what to do as if they were given an assignment. You know, you go after that particular street, there are 20 houses of Muslims or maybe 10 shops, burn them. This has been a regular feature in the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, sir, but this has also been applied like the rest of India and the other parts of India. Don't you think this is just like a dynamite where the government of India is sitting? And if this blows, sir, nothing is going to be safe. The entire region is going to suffer for that.
Actually, peace is being misinterpreted couple of times by the India, particularly in
For
case of the
example?
Kashmiras. For example, whosoever goes against the Indian interests, or whoso challenges the Indian atrocities, he is a criminal and he should be booked by the NIA. So this is the misinterpretation, a bare misinterpretation of the peace. Number two, whenever we will provide you some sort of economic benefit, peace will be restored. It doesn't help it since 1947. Number third, whenever there will be...
Sir, the Indian Prime Minister says that he's going to bring in billions and billions of dollars from UAE, Saudi Arabia, couple of individuals, including Mr. Ambani. They are going to make great universities, tourism resorts, and so much more. And there will be scholarships given to the Muslim students. And Kashmir is going to be the top-notch, business resort and recreational resort and whatnot.
I will bring in you an information that J&K is the only state which was a welfare state in context of the India. We were having the subsidy on the food, oil, even on diesel and petrol also, on the pesticides, medicine free from a paracetamol to open heart surgery, and also education free from first 1 class to PhD. It is nothing new. It is the
What about
freedom
now?
movement. Yeah, freedom movement
And is it
not subjected to our economic benefit with India, because we Kashmiris have the good economy of our own, and I want to also bring in.
Is it the same now?
Yeah, it is same now even, because we are cultivating huge apple in the Kashmir, which is having 22 billion value in the international
Is it true
market.
that many of the orchards
Yeah.
were destroyed
Yes,
by
destroyed.
the BJP?
Yeah, destroyed.
goons and-
They want to destroy our economy so that we cannot revive our freedom struggle. So if you will see the other dynamics of our resistance struggle, it never worked for India that they will provide us some lollipop in economic benefit, and they will invest some sort of huge amount of money either from any Gulf nation or India, and people will be silent. Actually, when you have a huge blood investment in the movement, you cannot retreat, you cannot see back whatsoever situation happens. So it is not relied whatsoever Modi government or even Congress government try to do. It is not that sort of the movement that which is linked with the economic benefit of the Kashmir. So it makes absolutely clear, despite they are trying to cripple our economy so that we will not survive. It is their ultimate target, particularly nowadays.
You think if, let's suppose, if investment pours into the Indian Kashmir, and interestingly, things do get better, do you think this overall movement, the indigenous movement, might take a different turn? Because
It will
honestly
just-
speaking, whenever there is prosperity in the region, it brings in a lot of positive elements also along with it.
But we
And
were already prosperous. You might have gone the discussions in post 5th August 2019 in the Cambridge University between the communist head and the BJP company. What is the difference between the economy of the Gujarat and the Kashmir? They have made the comparison. Now when you are talking about they changed the narrative that whatsoever we done in post 5th August 2019, it is for the development of the Kashmir issue, and they are tagging the peace with the development, and they are seeing through the same prism that we can cap the resistance movement by these methods, which they have applied since 1947, and it didn't work. And the present struggle to right self-determination is absolutely to have that the Indian forces should quit from our homeland, and we should be given that right which was promised by their great leader Jawaharlal Nehru. And
That's
also
history, sir.
that's history.
Those days are gone.
But the freedom
That
struggle,
is
the
a wrong
mood-
expectation
the
to
mood and
expect
method,
peace
the
from
mood
Narendra
and
Modi.
method. The
He's a hardliner.
India was always powerful. When we started in 1989 the freedom struggle, they were powerful then also. But we were knowing this. But what changed? It changed from Congress, from secular to radical, and they continue the same policy. There is no difference between the policies. And if you will analyze the policies of the India, there is the linear relationship between the policies of the Congress, between the policies of the Bharatiya Janata Party and the BJP, current BJP radical. There is no
sir.
differences.
Let's also take a comment from our friend Abid Latif Saab. Abid Saab, you must be hearing what Dr. Waleed Rasool Saab was saying, that at the end of the day, sir, whether we like it or we don't, there are certain realities. It's not Pakistani rupee that's accepted in the markets of the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. It's the Indian rupee. You talk about the demographic changes. I mean, the number, which is definitely an old number, is 4.2 million, 42 lakh almost 45-46% of the population of Kashmir. Obviously, you know what it means. If these are the people, then the families, and then see the effect of that. And then promises being made by Narendra Modi that foreign investment is going to come in, and that is going to be mostly from the Muslim countries in the field of tourism, education, health, and he has got some great plans for that particular valley and that land. Demographic changes, as I earlier mentioned, if they've already been changed, the special status that has been snatched away. You form the government, you'll be having 6, 7 ministers from BJP. You know what it means. So perhaps now, do you think that old method and that old school of thought to look after the affairs of the Kashmiri people will work? Because this is 2022, things have changed.
No, I don't think so. You
Okay.
see, actually, what happened that the moment the status of the Kashmir has changed from a state to a union territory, lot of a lot of things have changed, generically with this one step. Number one, the constitution was annulled, the special status as it was revoked, the right to have properties was also redefined, and then this is the demographic offensive which has been taken. As recently, just a day before, Modi visited a village, village in Jammu, and at the congregation of Panchayat. Uh, Panchayat is a system of governance in India in which the rural areas of the Indias are incorporated in the system of local government. And there, I think he wanted to give a message to the people of Kashmir, to the people of India, and particularly to the persecuted minorities and people like Muslims, that they have already taken offensive which has three prongs. One is that they are pushing upon the Hindu majority, so it is a offensive which is based on the democratic England. The other is the offensive of development, as you were saying that there are now so many other players outside India, those who want to play, those who want to come and invest in Indian-held Kashmir. And the third is the lawfare, that they're changing the laws.
Kalsa, please
So
tell me one thing. Explain it to me. That's an area which is
yeah,
primarily a disputed territory, correct?
yes,
Now,
absolutely.
that issue is in United Nations. So any other sovereign country, I'm going to take the name of two, Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates. Muslim countries, brotherly countries as we consider them, if they are, and both these countries have presented their highest civil award to none other than Mr. Modi. Now they plan to invest in India. They have not invested in Pakistan. Try to understand the foreign policy, and they commit that X number of dollars, which could be around 40, 50, 60 billion dollars, maybe more. What is that supposed to mean that then, you
You
know?
are actually from the Tashkent declaration, India has taken a wrong cue out of that. They think and they project it to the international world that it is a bilateral issue, whereas it is, as you have already
And the
mentioned,
West has bought that kind
West has bought it.
of an
Why?
approach.
West has bought the same because of the fact that India is an upcoming economy. India is now a very major and a big partner in the region and in the regional equilibrium and the international architecture in which almost it has become a surrogate to USA as far as the Asia Pacific is concerned. So these things have dictated as and very clearly the UN and the European Union and the West is actually morally, physically, and in whatever terms you may say, is controlled by the policies of the USA. That is why once I was saying that this time USA, though it may be in terms of cosmetics also, they will raise the issue of persecutions of minorities in India, because only then they'll be able to raise the question of Russia, they'll raise the question of China, they'll be able to raise the question of North Korea. So maybe the main aim would could have been that. But in the pretext of that, they will raise, as we know that the United Nations Commission for International Religious Freedom is now very active inside the USA and trying to mobilize the at least the public and the political opinion against the atrocities being committed by the Indians. As far as what we should be concerned, we should have of our immediate concern as far as Kashmir is concerned. India has already made 3 dams on the river Chenab. You go right now to GT Road and you will find that river Chenab is now, giving a very sorry state of a small nalla flowing without
Sir,
water.
it has been happening for a very long time. All the
It has,
rivers. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
this is
it has
the
been happening. It has been happening for the last
responsibility of the
50
government
years.
of Pakistan. They should have been known what's going on.
But
Then you
I
have got
think
traitor
if
kind of
now,
people who practically signed wrong deals with India and vanished.
true. But I think even if we don't do anything right now, so rest assured, after 2 years, we'll not be cultivating cotton, we'll not be cultivating rice or wheat.
I
So
wish
I
the
think
nation
this
and
is
the government realizes,
the
because
moment has come.
Sindhu Saab, sorry to cut you here, water security is going to be the real problem. Forget about
True.
everything else.
Yes, true.
Because the water
Agree.
table has gone down, there is no water in the rivers, the weather pattern has changed due to climate change, your monsoon is shifting towards the west. See, God knows what's going to happen. Please go ahead.
So I wanted to emphasize just on one thing that we have to for a time being, for maybe 2-3 years, we have to sidestep the political connotation of the Kashmir problem, and we have to focus on this issue that our rivers, our development in the area, and the connectivity between the two parts, it has to be assured. I think this is more important than doing the mere agitations, mere rhetorics, and then playing the same playbook time and again.
Absolutely. Can't agree more with you on that, sir. One has to focus on the real issues. Now, coming to you, Dr. Saiba. First of all, please, if you want to comment on the previous debate, please go ahead.
Yeah, it is really important when we see the issue of Kashmir and we see how Mr. Vajpayee, Mr. Modi visited Kashmir. Uh, if we see, he works for optics. He works for the intangible messages to the diplomatic messages to the world community. If we see, I'm sure you know that no multinational invests in a disputed territory. So as per UNO and international law, Kashmir, whether India accepts it or not, Kashmir is a disputed territory. And this is really sorry state of affairs that if any state would invest in the disputed territory of Kashmir, and that Pakistan can challenge such activity as well. But here the question is that why Modi visited Kashmir at this point of time, especially, and if we see the chain of events. First, they released the movie Kashmir Files, in which is a misleading movie which only aims on creating or instigating or fanning the Islamophobia or against Kashmiri Muslims in India. And then after creating, after that movie, Modi himself presented himself as a Masiha for Kashmir, and then he went there and pledged so many development projects. But we have to remember, we cannot forget that Modi pledged the similar projects in 2019 when they revoked the Article 370 from Indian Constitution and constitutionalized discrimination
So
in
much
the
was
Indian
also
Constitution.
promised to the Sikhs in Punjab and these farmers,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and
So
nothing
Modi
happened. And
is,
did you
yeah.
see the result? What
So,
Aam Aadmi
so
Party did in after
yes.
doing whatever they did in Delhi, they did in Punjab also.
If
They
we see the
wiped them
trends
out.
of Modi government, most of the things they pledged or most of the words they used, they are only for optics, they are only for create a certain delusional atmosphere or environment for the illiterate domestic Hindu vote bank in India. That is not, they don't mean it. So whatever Mr. Modi has pledged, we will see that if that would be executed, because since 2009 nothing has been done. Rather, there is huge number of losses to Kashmir's economy. The people of Kashmir are miserable. The way Indian government treated Kashmiris during COVID-19, and the insufficient availability of medical facilities, and the way they are attacking the freedom of speech all over India and especially in Kashmir. That is like, recently they arrested a young individual, a PhD scholar in the university, Srinagar University, for an article which he written 11 years back. So an article which was written 11 years back, he is arrested now for this month of in the holy month of Ramzan for that crime, which is not a crime because everyone has right to share what he or she feel about it. And when you see the optics, the way Modi was addressing the panchayatis, the newly elected so-called members of the self-rule or self-governance at village level, I wonder how under the shadows or in the presence of guns and soldiers, how they managed to have a free and fair without international observers or any committee which can see that if the and they even don't allow the Human Rights Commission of India to go and visit Kashmir, Indian occupied Kashmir. So this is really, we have to see that which type of people they have selected to for optics to show the world that Kashmiris have selected their members in panchayat level. And this law was Indian Parliament accepted this law in 1989. So we have to see, and but we see the optics. It was like a colonial leader, a viceroy visiting an occupied territory, and after destroying a whole region, promising them that they will rebuild it. So then why they destroyed it at the first place if they have this intention to rebuild it? And then I would like to add that if Kashmiris would accept Indian subjugation, atrocities, and every brutal act conducted by Indian government till to date for last 75 years, Kashmir would have been part of India. So after standing tall against Indian atrocities and Indian policies of subjugation, Kashmiris have proved that those without addressing the real issue, which is resolution of Kashmir conflict, no other commitment, whether it is economic development or it is some political, I would say, lollipops, that would not address the real issue. And in the theoretically, as academician, I can say that for conflict resolution, we need to address the issue which is actually hampering the process of peace building, which is actually hampering the process of conflict resolution.
Ma'am, last
So
quick,
Indian government
quick
cannot
comment.
go round, merry-go-round again around the actual conflict, which is right
Now,
to self-determination.
ma'am, the only time which I have is just 30 seconds for all of you actually. The answer should be yes or no. Do you think, sir? Let me start off from the studio. Dr. Saab, do you believe that the current government, there is a perception they seem to be close to Narendra Modi. Do you think that during the government of Shahbaz Sharif Saab, things will get better, not only between these two countries, but rather for Kashmiris also?
Actually, freedom struggles are fought for on the basis of the hope. We should never give
Lose
up.
hope, right?
Yeah, we should never give up. We should hope better.
Positive.
Yeah.
Your take, Colonel Saab.
Yeah, I think that this government can play its role, but with due respect, I'll just differ a little bit from Dr. Saiba that, not all whatever Modi is doing, it's cosmetics. There's something which he has taken very practical steps for, to fulfill his fundamentalist and fascist and I would say the extreme agendas. And as far as the Kashmir is concerned, she's absolutely right that we have to address the core issue. But besides that, I think in the meantime, for waiting for a long haul that the issue should be solved, I think the existence of Pakistan should not be at this stage.
All right, ma'am, your take.
Okay, so when your question, every state has interest and then positions to achieve those interests. So our interest is that Kashmiris would live with dignity and should be given their right to self-determination. So whatever position to achieve that objective Pakistani government will take, I think we should appreciate it, and we should be with it. And to Mr. Abid, Kashmir is Pakistan's jugular vein. So, inshallah, Pakistan existence would be
All right.
strengthened with
All
the
right, ma'am.
Kashmir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Asma Shakir Khawaja Saiba, Abid Latif Sindhu Saab. Thank you so much for your time. Dr. Rasool Saab, it was a pleasure having you in the show, sir. Thank you so much. And that's all we have for this hour. I'll see you, inshallah, tomorrow at 5 p.m. Till then, you take good care of yourself. Khuda Hafiz.